important piece of South Africa's history, now permanently closed. This is the Lilliesleaf Museum, which is known to many for having played a key component in the fight for the country's liberation, where talks began to overthrow the oppressive apartheid regime, and famous for housing a number of ANC freedom fighters, including former President Nelson Mandela. It was since turned into a museum to preserve the country's history, but this month shut its doors.
It wasn't a decision, as I've mentioned on numerous occasions, that I took. It was a decision that was forced upon me. Why do I say that? If I don't have money to pay for salaries, I cannot expect my staff to come to work, and they cannot be expected to come to work. Therefore, if I don't have staff to run the site, I cannot open it. Therefore, I had no option other than to close the doors until such time as we were in a position to be able to pay staff salaries.
Lilliesleaf has been facing financial problems for quite some time, and the COVID-19 pandemic only made things worse. The Department of Arts and Culture slammed the museum for financial mismanagement and for not being able to account for 8.1 million rand. It says it has provided 70 million rand in funds to the site over 13 years, with an additional 1.8 million rand for the 2020-2021 financial year. This is on the back of a memorandum of agreement in 2015 worth 9 million rand, which the department gave the trust for the purposes of upgrading the site, but it was used by the trust for operational purposes instead.
Nick has clearly indicated, just agreed publicly that, he violated the MOU or the MOA, the Memorandum of Agreement. He had come to the department with a very specific project to be funded. And we funded him on that basis. Now, when we received the report, we were expecting Nick to report on the project that he had come to the department to ask for money. Now, immediately after that, we started engaging Nick to say, but Nick, you have not responded. You have not given the report as per the MOA, because if you do so, therefore it means this is an irregular expenditure. To our disappointment, Nick even indicated that, look, he has sat with the board, and the board is aware of the irregular expenditure. The board is saying that all that is required is to declare the irregular expenditure, and so that we can continue to give them money. So it doesn't work that way. The Public Finance Management Act is very clear in terms of how you account for monies that you have received.
The Lilliesleaf Board of Trustees has since conducted a forensic investigation to look into how funds were spent on the farm. It is yet to release this publicly. While Wolpe has been accused of pocketing the money for himself, he claims it is accounted for but was not used for its intended purposes.
The department knew in 2015. They were aware of it because we had a discussion. That is why they didn't give us the 900,000. So why did it take them from December 2015 to August 2021, August 2020, beg your pardon, to suddenly raise this whole question of the 8.1 million? Why did they not raise it then and then when I had told them how the money had been spent, and they said that the money had not been spent for what its original intention was for? But to say we did not account for the money is incorrect. To say we did not account for the money in terms of what the MOU specified, 100% correct.
While this trend has been seen in other museums in the country and the world over, this heritage expert says it's important to preserve sites of this nature.
Is that what do we do with this particular place? How do we preserve it? How do we curate it for future generations? We understand its value, and therefore, at the end of the day, sad to say, money talks, and the resources are required to actually fund these things. We can, look at other particular places that exist or sites of significance in South Africa, which are very heavily funded by the state and other donors, perhaps, who are in a state of decay. So, perhaps it's a case of actually getting one's priorities right here now and saying, okay, fine, let's do an audit of our heritage assets. Let's identify what in fact is relevant. Let's identify what is less relevant because it may fit within a colonial or an apartheid narrative. And let's actually focus on where we need to be. And with that focus comes a prioritization of resources.
The ANC has added its voice to the squabble, saying much needs to be done to keep the site open.
This government has a responsibility to make sure that Lilliesleaf runs. And this government cannot and should not hide behind the mistakes of an individual. If that individual is an obstacle, he must step aside and government must put in resources and appoint a competent person to run that museum. That museum embodies the common heritage of the people of South Africa, Africa, and the world, and cannot be closed.
While the museum remains closed for now, there are hopes that it will be able to open its doors soon in an effort to preserve the history of the country. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Mbali, Thethani in Johannesburg.